Well, welcome everyone. Welcome to our webinar about strengthening water availability through seawater desalination. I see that everyone is slowly coming in. I will give you a few seconds to sign in and to join us, and then we will start the webinar. We're very happy today to have so many people coming. We had really a lot of registrations. So I'm hoping people still come in. It's 11 now, so we are in time. Well, welcome to our webinar. Thank you for all the participants are already coming and being here. Thank you for the speakers for being here today and joining us for this webinar on desalination. It's the first time we are doing this topic, and we are very happy that it's such a big interest to everyone. I would like to especially thank IFAT Munich because they are making this webinar possible today. We are kicking off IFAT with this webinar. So for the one who don't know, IFAT is the world leading trade fair for water, sewage, waste and raw materials management, and it will take place in Munich from May 13th to May 17th. So of course, Eva will be there. We have a booth there. We have many events planned. We'll share with you the information. So we can really just invite you to come. There will be a lot of exhibitors sharing best practices, the innovation. There will be live demonstration. It's really a great place to network and meet amazing people. So yes, we really hope that you come. And we are happy to give you a free ticket entrance. So you can use the code EVA 2024 when you register, and you can come for free to the fair. I will send you all the information again after the webinar per email, so you don't have to write anything down now. You will get everything. But thank you again to IFAT Munich for making this webinar possible today. Before we start, I will just make a small presentation about who is the European Water Association, as we have many new participants today with us. So we are an independent NGO dealing with the management and improvement of the water environment. We have members from nearly all European countries. We have national members, corporate members, research members. So if you're interested, have any question about membership, please reach out to me. I think you all have my email or my colleague email. And we do this by providing a forum for discussion of key technical and policy issues in Europe. So we do this through webinar like today, through conferences, workshop, meeting. We have special working groups of experts, and we also do publications. For example, we wrote the Water Manifesto last year. We, with other association, wrote a joint letter to the European Commission to ask them to deliver the Water Resilience Initiative. So yeah, we are trying to be very active and promote the management of water everywhere. For more information, just go on our website, or you can check our social media platform and you have all the information. Before we start, please use the chat if you want to talk, interact, make comments. If you have any question, please use the Q&A box to submit it. We will keep all the questions and ask them at the end of the webinar. Please let us know to whom the question is addressed, so we can ask them at the end. We will share all the presentation with everyone, and we are also recording this webinar, so it will be available on YouTube. So if you miss anything, you will be able to check everything out afterwards. Well, now I'm very happy to welcome the moderator for this event, Johannes Lohaus. I think he will be joining us with a camera shortly. He's the Secretary General of EVA since 2004. Hi, Johannes. And he was the Managing Director of DVA, the German Association for Water, Wastewater and Waste for 18 years. He has shortly retired at the end of last year, but will be with EVA until beginning of June. He studied civil engineering and specialized with a specialization on water resource management at the University of Aachen, RWTH. And I'm very happy to leave him the floor now to start our webinar.
Thank you, Caroline, and welcome to everybody. I'm very happy to be with you today. As Caroline mentioned, it is the first time that EWA picked up this topic, but I think it is the right time to do this. And our overall heading is strengthening water availability, and desalination is one very important tool to do this. And especially when I look at the actual issue of the IWA membership journal, the source, the cover is "Desals Drive for Sustainability." And I think that is also the topic for today, desalination in the way for more sustainability, and that we can make more use of it. And we are very happy that we have very interesting presentations today. And today is the first step, as Caroline mentioned. There will be a second step for EWA in this topic at IFAT itself. It will be on Tuesday, the 14th of May, and we will be on the blue stage with a roughly shortened program. But I think it is a good option to meet in person. Today we are virtually together, but in Munich we have the chance to get in person together and to discuss in a deeper way. So a warm welcome and thank you in advance to all our speakers. I'm very happy now that we can start, and we have only a limited time, so we just start with the first presentation. He just arrived, Peter, just in time. Welcome here in our round, and I may introduce Peter de Jong. Peter is working as EU representative of Vetsus and Water Campus Leeuwarden since 2011. Vetsus is an industry-driven research program in which 52 European professors and 110 European and global companies collaborate to develop new water technologies. Peter is also closely involved in the European partnership Water for All and supports the closer collaboration with African Centers of Excellence with the support of the World Bank. Today, he is speaking about rebuilding the natural water cycle. Peter, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for having me in this meeting. Sorry for my slight delay. My Zoom wanted to reinstall, although I've, of course, been using it since Corona started, so always a surprise when that happens. I will try to share my slides. They should be here. Let's see if that works. Is this visible?
Yes, we can see everything. It works well.
Thank you very much. What you see here in the first slide in the top middle is a young picture of my colleague Jan Post. Jan Post is the team leader of the topic of desalination and concentrates. A few years ago, I supported him in a study that we did for the JRC regarding the topic of desalination. We did that in a regional context, zooming in on several regions in Europe and trying to distinguish what are actually the most urgent research questions, and I will come back to that within my presentation. So, of course, desalination, why do we talk about it? Well, of course, it can be, in some cases, a good answer to water scarcity. There's, of course, different ways of addressing water scarcity. In this picture, what you see is technically, we can, of course, have a direct feedback loop from the wastewater treatment plant through treatment processes towards the city. That is one way we could resupply people with water. The other one is using a desalination plant with fresh seawater. So should we go for potable reuse or desalination? Well, there are, of course, technical ways of drinking again the water from the wastewater treatment plant. And in some cases, it's being applied globally. Perhaps it's part of the answer of the future, but as you can see here, there's a lot of resistance from society. Then on the other hand, you have the option of going for desalination. Is that the golden bullet? Well, as you can see with the picture below, and here, there's of course also a thing to be said about applying desalination on large scale, and especially in areas such as the Red Sea. You already see quite significant impact of desalination if you apply that as a single solution. Over the years, desalination has been applied much more widely, and the costs have dropped significantly. These are just some numbers from, for instance, Israel, and as you can see, these are increasing in size. And what you see here is the cost over time also decreased, with the exception of the installations in Cyprus. They're still above €1 per cubic meter, or dollar in this case. But between, let's say, 50 and 70 cents, many plants are able to operate. So there already has been a significant cost reduction. And if you compare it to the price in the bottle, then of course, desalinated water seems almost for free. Those that maybe have traveled to Brussels lately have seen at the airport a bottle of water is between €4 and €6. So that's quite significant. So is desalination a silver bullet? Well, if it comes to agriculture, then of course the costs still are quite high. So only with very specialized crops could you apply this water. And then still you have the question regarding boron, and in which there might be too much, and magnesium, which might be too low. Well, for those that do not know too much about desalination, maybe good to say that the principle of one of the techniques, the RO, uses a high pressure pump. You put the water into a machine which has a membrane, and the membrane leads to, on the one hand, the dilute, which is the drinking water that we would like, and the other hand, you have the concentrate or the brine. And depending on how you treat it and how you release it, that of course could be a problem. And how much water you obtain also is a question. If you see here what happens to the energy consumption, you see that it gradually and significantly decreased over time. And you might hope that this goes to even lower numbers. But yeah, the energy consumption that has gone lower also has to do with a thermodynamic minimum. So at the end, we foresee that there, of course, it's the potential for optimizing even more the energy consumption is actually becoming more and more limited. And this, of course, has to do with the fact that we are concentrating salts, and that reaction by itself costs energy. So if we analyze all the data, I have more slides, but I cannot reveal them today because of the time, but we did more technical analysis, and we predict that there's much more room for the improvement of the energy in optimization in desalination. Nevertheless, the last few years, of course, many times research programs still published calls that would require the energy costs to go much lower. But we don't think that there's much more room for improvement. And we see more room for improvement in other ways. And we also tried other techniques, but we found out that these techniques have a lot of issues to compete with already very low prices of RO. Of course, we would love to have the water even cheaper, but that's another question. If you look at the problem with the amount of salt, we also looked if this salt could be a resource. What you see here, this significant mountain, is the world's largest salt dump. This is in inland in Germany. Of course, many times water is also discharged into oceans, can pose a question to the ecology. And there's more and more discussions about zero liquid discharge. So we tried to find a solution to sell the salt, but as far as we've been able to find, there was not really suitable business case. So what we actually will now focus on is to have add-ons to the RO. So we'd like to increase the selectivity, the durability, and the reproducibility. We do this within a WETSIS team that you call Desalination and Concentrates, in which these companies and research centers work together. The team coordinator is Jan Post. So one example is that we would like to actually make better use of the already available water. And we do that by combining several technologies and to have different concentrates that come out of the machine. In this way, perhaps they could be reused in different settings, but also we're able to reduce the water that has no use. So we can aim for a water recovery of 97%. And because of the concentrates in these three different types, we can do this without scaling in the machine. and without adding any other chemicals. So that, of course, is very beneficial. And depending on the location where you are, with only 3% remaining water, you might go to zero liquid discharge using the power of the sun. Another way what we like to share is that we are trying to optimize the membranes themselves to make sure that these can resist with higher salinity, and that you can also tune the ion selectivity. So we do this with adding additional layers. Another thing that we like to share is that there is a machine in the Netherlands installed for over 10 years now, which is a pure water factory. In this case, it is the effluent of a wastewater treatment plant that is being injected into groundwater, into oil well, as a to improve the pressure and to optimize the production of oil. And to do that, they also need the type of ultra pure water, so that they don't contaminate the well and there's no bacterial growth with causing any sulfuric compounds. So what they did there is install this pure water factory, which is actually a very nice experimental plant. And what they showcased, if you apply micronutrient limitation, you can actually prevent fouling of the RO and increase the lifetime. What you can see on the right-hand side is the difference between applying this limitation or not, and you see a significant reduction in the in the growth of bacteria. And this can, of course, also be applied in situations where the water is not destined for the oil sector, but actually for other uses. So how can we optimize the value of the second use of desalted water in agriculture? We try to show that in the report. Maybe later we can also share the link to the report. It's cited down here. It's something we did together with the JRC. Of course, on the one hand, you can have the normal way, let's say the left picture, in which you use desalination to save part of the water that is existing in the freshwater cycle. You can do this in normal settings or settings of drought. If you would like to keep more water in the system itself to optimize the water cycle, you can also apply the water reuse as an alternative. In that case, of course, many cities are doing that to give the water a second chance, for instance, in agriculture. On the other hand, if you do all of it at the same time, you use desalinated water for first use in the city, and then that water again within agriculture and other green uses, you can actually contribute to the evapotranspiration from the plant life, and that might add to adding more water into the existing water chain. Later I have a slide to even contribute more to that, because in many cases, of course, through climate change as well as through the use of land, we as humans have removed a lot of humidity from the system, and therefore we are actually the main reason why it's becoming drier and drier in many areas around the world. Another topic that we've dived into is the problems if you are doing large-scale desalination in accumulating too much boron. So actually having membranes and solutions to reduce the amount of boron further could be a good research topic for the European Commission, for in the Horizon program. In addition, in many cases, for instance, magnesium is being filtered out when you're producing desalinated water. Well, actually, you need these substances if you use it in agriculture. So, of course, it would be good to, on the one hand, remove more boron, and the other hand, reduce the deficits of magnesium. Here you see a picture which I hinted at just before. We have been overusing the water cycle. That is the picture on the left-hand side, which has led to a lack of vegetation. This also leads to a lower sponge effect of nature itself. This, for instance, is the risk if you would cut down the Amazon in Brazil. The Amazon receives about 1 time per year a large amount of rain in the course of a few weeks. and all the other rain of the rainforest is generated by the forest itself. So you have a continuous feedback loop of water within the forest. Maybe people know about that example, but the same is true for Europe. We have cut down larger parts of our forests, and also we have changed swamplands, for instance, to diminish the amount of mosquitoes or to optimize water use for agriculture or cities or industries. But the effect is that we actually made the environment in which we live drier by removing water from nature. So on the left hand is a picture that is on the one hand maybe a consequence of climate change, on the other hand could be also a consequence of our own doing. We are now doing a lot of research to actually reboost nature, and now we come back to a picture I showed before. So on the one hand we can indeed introduce more water into the system through desalination, which of course then has drinking water as objective. The city itself can, the wastewater can be reused in agriculture to increase the amount of green zones and contribute to the small water cycle through the evapotranspiration and further precipitation. This can be further strengthened, as you see on the right-hand side, by additional reforestation of significant parts of a territory. And in addition, we can actually make it rain more. This might sound a little bit like playing as God, but yeah, since we are actually playing as God already by removing water from land, maybe we should also be the one to actually give the water back. So what you see here is not a desalination plant, because the objective of this research is not to generate drinking water from seawater. What you see here is the objective of actually creating rain. So we would like to evaporate additional seawater so that more humidity will be in the air, so that you actually can re-establish existing water cycles, and that you can increase the amount of humidity inland by which you can trigger the point of rain. In many cases at the moment, we also, apart from removing vegetation, what we of course also did is constructing a lot of cities next to, for instance, the Mediterranean Sea, which have local climate effects of driving the clouds up higher in the sky, which diminish the chances of rain. So this is a way to compensate for what we did as humans, and with that maybe we can boost the water cycle and make water more abundant, both for nature itself and for humans and for cities. So as a last slide, in addition, what we can do, I will go to the end of this, we can additionally also recover part of the energy by having a blue energy plant installed, in which the wastewater treatment plant effluent will go to a machine in which the brine of the desalination plant is also inserted. And the outcome of that is an already diluted stream of salt water going back into the sea, which has a diminished effect on the wildlife. So this would be an additional way of compensating for the energy costs, and hopefully we can actually go to below 1 kilowatt hour per cubic meter. So these are the two solutions that we are working on. On the one hand, optimizing recovery of energy, and the other one is trying to boost again the natural way of increasing water availability. Yeah, this partly has been shown in an EU project. You see here the title, Revived Water. And we demonstrated that in Burriana in Spain. And there are at the moment plans to build this installation also in Mallorca. And the pilot of that is at the moment also active in the city of Alicante. I hope that this was interesting for you. I hope I was within the time, and please let me know if you have any questions.
Thank you, Peter. It was very interesting, and I think it makes clear that it is not one solution fits all. So you need engineering, you need thinking, and to find at the end the best solution. Thank you for your presentation. If from the participants anybody has questions, please type it in the Q&A, and we'll come up to them, to the questions later at the end of the webinar. Thank you, Peter, for this time, and seeing you later during the question and answers. Now we come to our second presentation, and I would like to introduce Professor Vincenzo Nadeo. Vincenzo is very familiar with EWA, and Vincenzo helped us a lot to set up this topic and to prepare this webinar. Thank you for this, Vincenzo. And he is an expert for water, and especially in the scheme of water energy nexus and urban water security initiatives. Professor Nadeo is director of the SEED laboratory at the University of Salerno, where he leads research in environmental health engineering. He has published over 250 scientific papers in high-impact journals, and as I mentioned, he is very active also inside EWA. Today he is presenting he will speak about valuing water for blue circular economy, advanced technology within water energy nexus framework. Vincenzo, the floor is yours. Okay, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you for involving me. Thank you to EWA and IFAT for this opportunity. I share my screen. Okay. I hope that this works.
Yes, we can see it. It works.
Okay. Good morning again. And my mission in this time that I have for my presentation, I'd like to introduce the value of our water in the blue circular economy and how is relevant the link of water with energy, especially in desalination plants. Everybody knows that water is one of the more important resources in the environment. The cost of water, as discussed also by Peter before, is very cheap. But the value of water is very relevant, especially for the ecosystem and anthropic activity where the water is directly requested or necessary. As we can know, the water is strongly related on life on land, life below water, and of course on clean and water and sanitation, according to Sustainable Development Goals. But also is very crucial for sustainable and developed of the new generation of our city, according to SDG number 11. Of course, is necessary, and then try to understand better how water is mandatory for the production of green energy, and also according to the traditional form of energy. Is crucial the use of water in industrial sector and how can impact on other environmental issue. Of course, water is linked to our health, and the quality and quantity of water and the right use of water is very important for the health of the people. All these things are interconnected, it's very clear, with water, and the economy that try to govern all these aspects are under the voice of a blue economy. The mission, our mission, is to make this economy more sustainable. And I'd like to start on the link that we have from energy and water. For the production of poor water and clean water, it's very clear that we need energy. But in the same way, to produce energy according to the standard technology, we need a lot of water. This interconnection is called the water energy nexus. According to this, every time any water drop that we lost, we are losing energy. We must consider this aspect. And if this aspect probably for part of us is very clear, not everybody can understand also that watching TV or also this webinar, we are consuming water because the energy that we are using for watching the TV is produced with the technology that need waters. And sometimes and more often, the water that we need is a very big amount. According to this, if in the Earth we have 7 billion of people, a little bit more probably now, only a few portion of these people have access, a lot of people don't have access to the electricity, and about 3 billion of people live in the area with high water stress. This underlines the dimension of our problem, and if we see the projection in few years, in 2035, we expect that the energy consumption will increase about 35%. But this means, according to our technology, that we need an increase of 85% of water consumption. According to this, it's very clear how important it is to find a different water source. And our sea, our ocean, our one of the main resource, and desalination technology, of course, as also very well presented by Peter before to me, is one strong solution for use this kind of water. Of course, we need to increase our system in the sustainable development. And don't forget that increase the quality of life is our mission for sustainable development. The subject is development. We need to increase the quality of life for actual generation and of course for the next and future generation. But the more important thing is increase the quality of life. Try to keep the needs of our people in Earth, but to do that, we need to be sustainable. It's very easy to understand probably this concept, but it's hard to answer. In which way we can control the sustainability? In which way I can control if my process, my technology, my solution is in line to the criteria of a sustainable development? To do that, we need to we need to understand very well the role of a technology. If with how we can consider the negative impact on the environment. With P, we can consider the population, and with W, with the welfare. If we increase the number of people in our Earth, thinking we want to increase the quality of life, the people live for more time in our Earth. This means that we have more population in our Earth. In the same time, if we need that the people are able to reach their needs, the welfare is higher. If both are higher, probably without any right action, negative impact try to increase. According to this, we need to use in right way our technology, and sustainable technology are technology that can be considered in the range from 0 to 1 in this expression. This is a very old approach to understand the role of a technology. In the recent years, also with the implementation of internet and web 3.0 aspect, we can consider the value of also of empathy. With the right empathy, the people can share our resource to increase the quality of both the life of itself and other people. According to this, I consider that for the good strategy for sustainable development, we need to work on both, on technology and involve in empathic way the people where the technology will be implemented. All in this way, we can have and act in right way on the territory where we want to increase and develop the technology with a new solution. But also the question is how I can understand if the technology is from 0 to 1 or not, or in other words, if our technology is sustainable or not. One approach that we like to use is to understand if the technology is not sustainable. In this picture, we can see very easily that this system, where there is, of course, an animal and other actors, is not sustainable. Why is this system is not sustainable? Because we have an overload. In the system, we have a pressure higher of the capacity that this system, ecosystem or urban system, we can imagine any different system, is over the capacity of the system. Now, it's very clear that the action and the time where we are able to action can affect the system. If we have, in this picture, funny picture, we act very soon and we reduce the load, probably the situation come normal and no negative significant impact are in the system. But if we act very late in the time, we can affect the system, our system can break, the animal can have some serious damage. Of course, we can also recover the system, but we need to spend more energy, more resource, economical resource. The time to act is very important for sustainability, and the concept of load and capacity of every system to respect some pressure is also very, very important. This must be considered in any point of view in terms of interaction of our technology or solution on environmental issue. Well, what will happen in urban water cycle? In urban water cycle, of course, we need to consider a lot of aspects. Of course, one of the more important aspects is the quantity and the quality of the water resource. Of course, this was historical our mission, where we take the source, the water from the river, from the sea, from groundwater, of course, how to increase the quality of water for water use or reuse. This is the traditional or our main mission. But in the same time, we need to understand how is the amount of energy that we invest in the urban water cycle, and how is the emission in terms of greenhouse gases that we need to consume in urban water cycle. This is a part of our mission now for reach the sustainable goals in terms of sustainable blue economy. According to this, we need to improve the energy efficiency in a water distribution system. We need to increase and invest in our treatment plant to reduce the energy demand, but also to try to recover energy from wastewater treatment plant, reduce greenhouse gases emission, probably with direct and indirect solution, like to reuse of a nutrient that we can have from urban water cycle. I am Italian, probably everyone know how important is food industry in our country, but generally in Europe too. And also we can consider how impact the food industry in urban water cycle. We need high quality water for very high quality food. And also we need, of course, that this aspect must be more sustainable in the future. In the same time, also in Italy is a very important country in terms for the fashion, and also the fashion industry globally is a very impactful industry in terms of water use. Estimation about 1.5 trillion of liters of water are used by the fashion industry each year. Take a consideration about this aspect. Textile and food industry are two very water demand industry where alternative source of water are very relevant for reduce their impact on our planet. In this context, desalination could be a very good solution. Of course, as we understood, traditional desalination is a very high energy demand treatment. Is important in desalination, the source of desalination, the salinity of water. Generally, we call ocean water sea, but each water, different kind of source, have a different salinity, and the salinity can affect the process. Another important point is the quality of fresh water. In this context, there are a lot of issues and challenging in the desalination process. We don't have time to discuss all this aspect. Of course, the brine discharge is one, and Peter underlined a lot of solution. Greenhouse gas emission and the control of greenhouse emission must be considered in a desalination process. Alternative to the addition of chemicals is important, but also is very important to the quality of fresh water that they produce according to the new European law. In this context, compounds of emerging concern are very, very relevant also for desalination plant. Of course, according to European law, now we don't need to control several compounds in drinking water. In the future, somebody are in the list. And also in this way, we need to thinking that the next generation desalination plant are able to control of this count of compounds. Also, during the COVID, we know very well, there are also emerging biological contaminants that can affect the desalination process and can live in our drinking water if not very well controlled. All these things need solution. At the Sanitary Environmental Engineering Division in South Italy, we work every day with my colleagues. We are about 35 colleagues from professor, research assistant, and young PhD student that work in different fields of environmental issue and to the sustainable development of desalination. We are working in a parallel project. One of these is to funding a new nanomaterial for membrane, able to increase the wastewater treatment, but at the same time also a next generation of desalination. And one of challenging solution could be electrospinning membrane that can be designed according for the specific needs of water quality. In the same time, we are working on the monitoring and control of micro and nanoplastic in water bodies, and also in potabilization on desalination plant, where also the membrane generally are produced by plastic material, and the release of this material can be found also in drinking water. Some publication of these are clear in literature, but also another challenging for European country are the PFAS. The PFAS with the directive of 2020 must be controlled in drinking water. All plants that produce drinking water need to control PFAS, and we know very well that PFAS is probably everywhere in our water resource. Fortunately, it's often with a very low concentration. But according also to other countries in Europe, now is important. New and next generation of desalination plant need to control PFAS inside their water cycle. We start to study PFAS several years ago, and now we are trying to include in next generation or possible generation of desalination plant also hybrid process with advanced oxidation process. We developed a patent with the combination of ultrasound absorption and filtration. The name of this patent is USAME, ultrasound membrane filtration and absorption, where we are able to control the water quality, increase that, and remove emerging contaminant, including the PFAS for drinking water production. Another mission that we have is to find a solution. We are going to the conclusion for greenhouse gas emission, and we bring this in our plant. All these solutions are also, we are happy that are also contemplated in the roadmap for low carbon urban water utility, that if you are interested, we can discuss in another moment. The problem is how to implement this plant everywhere in the world. In Europe now probably is the right moment with the European Green Deal and all our international and national European program. There are the budget for invest in this solution, because this solution is for energy, for climate change, and for water infrastructure. And there are different kind of framework that we can looking for, have the budget for implement for research or for real plants. Well, my conclusion is that we need to be consistency. Work every day easily can be very effective for the solution for the future. Sorry if I take a little bit more time. For any question, this is my contact. Of course, I'm here also for the end of the seminar. Thank you.
Thank you, Vincenzo, for your very interesting presentation and very informal presentation. And after two presentations where we got more or less an overview of the situation, we go now to the praxis. And I'm very happy to welcome now Jorge Malfeito. Jorge, you can activate your camera.
Yep.
Hello again.
Hello, good morning. I'm so sorry, but I don't, my camera doesn't work. I don't know why. Probably it's the version of the Zoom I have or whatever.
But we will see your slides later. A few words to your person from my side. Jorge is currently Director of Innovation in Arconia Water Business. Arconia's goal is to lead the transition towards a low-carbon economy. Jorge's professional career has focused on the leadership of research, development, and innovation, focused on membrane processes, desalination, and water treatment. Among others, he is member of the board of directors of the European Desalination Society and member of the scientific committee of the International Desalination Association. He will speak now, as I said, we go to the praxis about long-term efficiency and reliability of the Torrevieja reverse osmosis desalination plant. Jorge, we can't see you, but I'm sure we will see your presentation, and the floor is yours. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for your presentation. And thank you to IWA to let me share some issues related with our Torrevieja reverse osmosis desalination plant, which is the biggest reverse osmosis desalination plant in Europe at this moment. So first of all, let me share with you some facts and figures about desalination. Now, the predominant desalination technology is reverse osmosis by far. for two, well, mainly because the economic of the reverse osmosis is the best compared with other desalination technologies, and also the efficiency and the quality of the water produced is the best compared with other technologies. The main markets are at this moment is Middle East area. Saudi Arabia is the lead in desalination technology, but in Europe, Spain is the leading country in desalination. In the world, there are more or less 18,000 desalination plants with 5 million cubic meters a day contracted capacity in 2002. And historically, more or less, the contracted capacity is around 100 million cubic meters a day worldwide. If we focus on Spain, we have around 750 desalination plants, 100 of them large desalination plants, considering large plants above 10,000 cubic meters a day to 300,000 cubic meters a day. And the Spanish government accomplished a big desalination plan in between 2004 2008, in which they made more or less 26 big seawater desalination plants in the all Mediterranean coast of Spain and also in the Canary Islands. Between these plants is the Torrevieja desalination plant, which is, as I said, the biggest desalination plant in Europe at this moment. This desalination plant was planned to guarantee the irrigation deficit in the Tajo Segura transfer area, which comprise the areas of Alicante, between Alicante and Murcia. And the production of this plant is at this moment of 240,000 cubic meters a day. 60% of this water is for drinking water and 40% for agricultural use. And now the government is bidding the expansion to 360,000 cubic meters a day. So the plan is going to be extended for 120,000 cubic meters a day. In the picture, you can see the plant. On the left, you can see the part of the pretreatment, the flotation and filtration units. In the center, you can see the second stage filtration, the filters, and in the right side of the picture, you can see the main building for the RO racks. Sorry. Concerning the pretreatment, consists, it has an open intake, so the pretreatment has to be very consistent and very well designed. So with several stages. The first stage is the ActiDAF, which is an flotation and filtration process with 2 lines in parallel with 16 units per line, and using sand and anthracite media as a media filtration. So in the picture, the first picture, you can see these units. The second stage of the pretreatment is the pressurized dual media, also with sand and anthracite and some filtration media. We have 24 units in the high pressure line, and the line to feed the energy recovery systems consists of 32 units of these filters. And finally, we have 5-micron security filters just before the reverse osmosis racks. These reverse osmosis racks consist of 16 racks with spiral wound elements working at 45% of conversion. That means that each rack has 15,000 cubic meters a day of production, 7 elements each, and 182 pressure vessels per rack. Yep. The rack is these units you can see in the pictures. The plant has an additional second pass for boron reduction, as Peter says in his presentation. For agriculture, the boron is an issue, so we have to reduce the boron content until below to 0.4%. So for this reason, we installed a second pass, working at 19% of conversion. And for energy reduction, we installed 20 energy recovery systems, ERI, which is so-called hyperbaric chambers, which are the most efficient recovery systems available in this moment for reverse osmosis technology. And finally, the post-treatment. So the produced water has very low pH and low carbon content, low calcium content. So we need to post-treat this water with our hardening system with lime and CO2 dosification. And at the end, we have a product water with all the requirements that drinking water has to be, with Langelier index between 0.5 to 0.5. The Langelier index is an indirect measurement of the corrosion index of the water. pH around 7.5, and TDS, which is total solids contents, dissolved solids contents below 400 milligrams per liter. And finally, I want to talk about the outfall, the brine outfall. The brine outfall is in the port of Torrevieja. In the picture, you can see the outfall line, and it's at the outside of the harbor, and in the last the length is 1,500 meters, and in the last 600 meters we installed 64 diffusers for a good and efficient diffusion of the brine. That means that there are no any environmental affection on the area in the area close to the area. There are Posidonia meadows, and we carry out an environmental control program joined together with the Spanish government and the University of Alicante in order to follow the environmental impact, and the conclusion was there are no any environmental affection in the media. And finally, I would like to talk about the costs of this plant. So, La Puente and Atal, collaborators, they did a study about all the many plants, many of the desalination plants in Spain, and the Torrevieja total cost, capex and opex, were around 0.68 euros per cubic meter, with an energy consumption of 4.3, which is this clear green bar. Sorry. This is related with the process. the whole process, and an additional 0.59 per the water distribution. So we distribute the water to 3 points, and we have to pump the treated water to these tanks, these reservoirs, in order to distribute to the agricultures or to the population. If we compare this cost with the latest cost in the market, so if we go to 2010, which is more or less the year in which the Torrevieja desalination plant started to produce water, the costs are more or less in the state of the art of the cost in these years, both concerning the water cost and the energy consumption. It's around 4.3, and now the last bids in the Middle East in 2023, the water cost is around 0.36 US dollars per cubic meters, and the energy consumption is little less than 3 kilowatt hour per cubic meters. It's around 2.9 or something like that. And I think this is all. Thank you very much, and I'm open for your questions. Thank you.
Jorge, thank you for your presentation. It was impressive, and the picture, it looks more than like an industrial fabric than a water treatment plant, but it is the reality, and it is very interesting what you presented here to us. And if there are any questions, please put them into the Q&A, and we come up to them later. So we go ahead, and I can introduce now the next speaker. He is from Germany. He is from Duisburg in North Rhine-Westphalia. He is Klaus Mertes. He is managing partner at the Desalination Institute, DMA, and as I said, located in Duisburg in Germany. Klaus Mertes is an expert in the field of desalination and has extensive experience in managing engineering, procurement, and construction projects. During his lectures, he shared his practical insights and real-world examples to help the students to understand the various aspects of desalination projects. And now today he will speak about reverse osmosis membranes, waste revitalization, and raw material recycling. Klaus, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. I hope you can hear me and can see my presentation. Can someone please confirm?
We can see everything. Thank you.
Perfect. See and hear. Thanks for having me here today. Yeah, thanks for the audience coming around and sharing the know-how with our with my partners here or with the other presenting persons. As I'm a little bit behind schedule already, Sadi, sorry I take your time now. No, I think we're going to extend this a little bit. I will try to be as effective as possible to go through my subject. And talking about DME, you have to know we don't sell any goods. We are a research and a consulting institute based here in Germany with more than 25 years of background in desal. So we are training people, and yeah, that is some of the background we have. Now, what I'm talking of today is a subject we picked up around about 10 years ago, and that is the question of where does desal with RO goes to, and it comes, as you all know, from desalination from a certain set point where we wanted to produce salt and have salt, and after that in the early 30s or 20s, starting with MSF processes, and in the 50s then land-based MSF, not ship-based, and then in the 60s, 65, 67, by Sidney Loeb, the RO process. And since then, as Jorge and all the others said, RO is just dominating. After little bumps going up, is dominating the world market with some more than 20,000 installed capacity plants. And yeah, that is what we have. And this is the working horse we're dealing with. Nevertheless, there are still some things we need to look into because not everything is round as it should be. And of course, RO is not the end of our road. There are other technologies and things coming which will bypass RO, but this is not the subject of today. Today, we're talking about the pros and cons in RO as a working horse, and I will go into one specific area which most likely is very often not been really a subject of projects and other things, and this is the membrane as it is being produced and used as a consumable in RO plants. And Jorge, you just showed your very impressive project you're dealing with, and I know some of the projects in person as well. And I just did a rough estimation of what we're talking of in terms of membranes being used. You are talking about more or less 20,000 membranes, RO spiral membranes in your plant, which if you take them in operation for maybe 5 years, I know you sometimes do 10 years, but depending very much on the skill of the operators, I think 5 years is a very good average for all the plants in the world. Some just don't take even 4 weeks. But then we are talking about around about 300 tons of membranes you're using there, which after 5 years at least need to be recycled. And if you take that per every year, this means 50 tons or 60 tons of membranes. And the first slide you can see I've taken here from Google Maps is a picture from a desal plant in Saudi, in KSA, Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. And even using Google Maps and not the Google Earth high resolution, you can see membranes being stored outside the plants as a waste, and nobody really knows what to do with. So that we do have a very high amount of membranes in the world being used. Some of them, and we'll come to that later on, are used in different purposes again, but in the end, they will be all dead. That means they will all be some kind of waste we have or material we have. And I'm talking today about a way what and how to do with these membranes, because they are harming in our general idea of producing fresh water out of a salty water, just cutting off ions and releasing fresh water, H2O, for our human consumption. And this is membranes is definitely, it's a consumable in the plants, and it is, in the end, it's a waste. Now, there are certain ways to use them, and these are some pictures I brought here. I found a very creative way using them as pillows along the streets, painting them black. Other people just store them somewhere waiting for a solution to come. Some of these membranes are co-used as ultrafiltration membranes by oxidating the membrane itself, the RO surface. So there are various ways to deal with, but in the end, as I said, there needs to be something we need to take them out of the process. One way, as in a research project, we as DME did some in 2012 and 13, so nearly some 10 years ago, was to collect those membranes. Here's some older pictures. We collected them and we put them into a recycling process, incineration process. And since then, there's a company doing this or dealing with these type of recycling, or they did this, and some plants have recycled their membranes in this way. Most likely, today, this is in parts of Europe, especially in Germany, not very much liked to be done. I will come to that later on, due to environmental impacts by the incineration process itself. Now, looking into the recycling of membranes, what is very important and always a hustle and a pain in the is how to get the membranes off the pressure vessels. And therefore we started as institute a research project and a development project with a tool manufacturer to design a component or a tool to recycle and to take membranes very efficiently and very fast out of pressure vessels. And I got here, where is my mouse? Here is my mouse. I got one picture and one small slide I would like to show you and to share how that is done with that tool. We tested them and we found quite well, very, very good. It takes only a few minutes to, and you need only to open one side. You can exchange the membranes and take them out. So that was the first step we did as an institute on recycling, because we needed to find a way how to get membranes off the pressure vessels as fast as possible. Now, after that, of course, once they are out, and you saw that before, comes the, and this is another video here, comes the recycling of the membrane. And starting off with incineration means you cannot burn them as they are. If you don't want to do it in a valley in the wintertime in some outback areas in the country somewhere, and you do it in a technical process, you are starting just crashing the membranes and putting them into pieces. But you can see as they're coming out of that process, they are only good for incineration. You cannot select the membrane and the material anymore. You can do this, but now comes the downfall on this. Doing this is doing this with especially salt-containing membranes. The salt content will produce chlorine in your incinerator, and the incineration companies don't like chlorine in their incinerator chambers themselves. They cause corrosion. First thing, okay, maybe you can deal with that. But the second thing, chlorine and will go out as an exhaust, and that immediately will ask the authorities to come back, because chlorine out of a chimney is nothing you really want to have. So that was in some areas and in some incineration plants, the stop of these type of incineration. And then, okay, I can see you coming back, Johannes, on my presentation. I need to speed up a little bit. The market of membranes is increasingly going up 10%, or we assume even more, 12 to 15% per year. So we will see more and more membranes going up. And therefore, in Germany, last month, a project has been started called RO-RE project, which has the intention, first of all, to recycle RO membranes out of brackish water and seawater, spirit warm ones, into ultrafiltration by oxidating those membranes. Not the first approach. There are other research projects in Spain and in the US, as well as in India, doing this. But this here has a second part, which means end of life of membranes. So what we're doing in registration with the membranes after they have been recycled to an RO, from an RO to an ultrafiltration, because then they have still the label on to be an RO, which is just not right. So they need to be registered and to be in a formal way brought through the process. Now, looking at round about 1.5 million membranes each year, and Jorge, you have only 20,000 in your plant, and manufacturers are getting bigger and bigger. We can see the second path, and this is what I brought here on the left-hand side. After dismantling them, thermal waste incineration and recycling is one way. The second one is raw material. And this is the important thing we are working on at the moment in terms of research. We want to have granulates back from those membranes. And yeah, the way is from the upper part, membrane manufacturers are producing membranes, then they may be converted to an ultrafiltration membrane and they become waste. And from there on, they need to be registered, or they are registered from the beginning on, and they are going through a recycling process, and they will become raw material in the end of the day again. And we are talking about some 80% of raw material we can recycle in this process. Here's some examples, some pictures of how that is done. If you are disassembling those membranes, you need to go back to sheets, so you cannot just crush them. As we've seen that before in an incineration plant, you need to have machinery to get sheets out of them again. And once those sheets are created and the ATDs and the central pipes are done, I just flip through, give you some images of how this then will look like. You can recycle them back into a process. And this has a lot of benefits for the companies operating RO plants, on the environmental, social impacts in the laws, as well in the reuse of the granulates. And also the consequences, if you're not recycling them, are very big, and in a lot of projects not really valued today. Now, some pros and cons if you do landfill, which I always would like to stop you from the beginning of a project on. And okay, I'm now kicked out. Okay, sorry for this, only 2 slides left. The last slide is my contact details. You should have them. Thanks for having me, and yeah, if any questions, let me know. I'll be with you. Thanks.
Klaus, thank you very much for your interesting presentation. I think it is an upcoming problem and an increasing problem, the recycling of membranes. And we heard before, desalination is increasing, so we need more and more membranes in future. And of course, at the end, we have to recycle them. And you showed us very good solutions and how to tackle and how to go ahead with this increasing problems. Thank you for this. And now we come to the last presentation. Last but not least, I may introduce Professor Shadi Hassan. Shadi is the director of the Center for Membranes and Advanced Water Technology, and he is Associate Professor of Chemicals and Petroleum Engineering at Khalifa University in the United Arab Emirates. He is an expert in the field of desalination, wastewater treatment, nanomaterials, membranes, and energy efficiency. And so he published over 195 papers and filed 9 patents applications. So he's very experienced in our topic. Shadi, welcome to our session, and I would like to ask you to give your presentation. Water desalination in United Arab Emirates, current situation and sustainable development. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Johannes. Let me just make sure that you see the slides.
We can see the slide. Okay, now it is in the presentation mode.
Perfect, perfect. So thank you very much, Johannes and Caroline, for inviting me to be one of the speakers at this very interesting webinar. Thanks to IWA and IFAT as well.
Shadi, just quickly, can you change the display settings? Because, you know, we can see the presentation mode and not the full screen. If you go up in the display setting, you can, swap and then, or duplicate, and then we can see.
You see it now?
Not yet. Yes, now it's good. Thank you.
No, it's fine.
Okay, perfect, perfect. So thank you very much again for IWA and IFAT. I don't know, do you still see it?
We can see your screen, but not the presentation. Yeah, it's coming back now. Yes.
It's okay now?
Almost. Yes, it's good now.
Okay, perfect. So good afternoon, everyone. Before I get started, I would like to thank Johannes, Caroline, IFAT, IWA for giving me this opportunity to become, to present some of the relevant information, you know, about the water desalination in the United Arab Emirates, shedding light, you know, on the current situation and the initiatives and the ideas, the efforts, that the UAE has been doing over the past few years and nowadays as well. I would like to thank the audience, for being with us and bearing with us up until this moment. Hopefully, it's not going to be a long presentation since we're behind schedule anyways. I was enjoying, listening to the previous presentations by my colleagues, and the last one attracted my attention, looking at the disturbing pictures, of those membranes, and hopefully, we can reach to a solution where we can reduce, the amount of that waste from an environmental perspective. And I think as a researcher, as a scientist, I think it's the time now to start looking and exploring, the potential use of biocompatible, biodegradable, more sustainable, let's say, polymers, when it comes to membrane synthesis, membrane fabrication, and so on, rather than depending on the petroleum-based, which can also increase and contribute, to the huge amounts of microplastics in the environment. Since my talk is basically related to the United Arab Emirates, so I'll get started, with this quote by His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan, the president of the country, asking or confirming the importance of water, when compared to oil for the UAE. And here I quote him saying, "Water is more important than oil for the UAE. We are preoccupied by this major issue. Therefore, we have to focus our efforts on conducting relevant studies and researches on drawing up suitable strategies and solutions to come up with ways to meet future demand and preserve our natural resources." And for that, the UAE has been working extensively on developing all of these strategies and initiatives in order to combat any water challenges, any water issues the country is facing. One of those is basically what we call the UAE Water Security Strategy 2036, which was launched back in 2017, having a set of goals such as reducing the total demand for water resources by around 21%, increase water production index to approximately $110 per cubic meter, decrease water scarcity index by nearly 3 degrees, expand the country's water storage capability for up to 2 days, and most importantly, increase the recycled treated water from wastewater up to 95%. The current situation is basically we are recycling around 51%, dumping back 49%. By 2036, we want to increase that amount to 95%. That applies or implies, the development, the technology advancement, and looking into these very sustainable, innovative solutions when it comes to water technologies in general. To give you an overview of the situation in the UAE and the water resources and distribution, as everybody knows, the UAE is considered as the second largest desalination producer market, globally, with the world share of 14% after Saudi Arabia. So basically, UAE depends heavily on desalination. And if you look at the map on the right side, you see the UAE is being located in an area, in a region where it does not have an open access to surface water. We have only an access to the Gulf, to the Arabian Gulf, with a very small, narrow opening to the Indian Ocean. So the only solution to the UAE is basically to get their drinking water is through desalination. We do have groundwaters. We do have a few dams scattered here and there. But as you can see from the statistics, Abu Dhabi, for example, depends or gets 60%, water supply from groundwater, 30% is from desalination, and 10% is from wastewater recycling. Groundwater, we started, to see or to face over the past few years a few problems, a few challenges, related to the salinity of groundwater. So again, that's another issue that we need to deal with in UAE. But in terms of desalination, Abu Dhabi has an installed capacity of 960 million imperial gallons per day, with a peak demand at 833 million imperial gallons per day. Abu Dhabi has about 9 desalination plants, and I'm talking about Abu Dhabi because Abu Dhabi is the center, has the major share of the desalination in the country. So we do have about 9 desalination plants, with 4 of them utilizing reverse osmosis RO technology, thus providing about 24% of desalinated water. As you know, the UAE is being shifting now from the conventional thermal desalination plants, such as MSF or MED, into the membrane technology. And currently they're building, and soon they will be commissioning the largest RO desalination plant in an area called Al Tawila, with a capacity reaching up to 999,000 cubic meters per day. Last week, we had the inauguration of another large desalination plant, not in Abu Dhabi, in another city called Al Quwain, with a capacity of 150 million gallons per day. So all of these efforts show the leadership commitment, towards sustainability, towards decarbonization, towards developing advanced and innovative technologies when it comes to desalination. As my colleague Klaus, highlighted the market, the business of seawater desalination in general. Here, I'm highlighting the seawater desalination capacity in the GCC, in the Gulf region in general, is expected to grow by about 37% in the next 5 years, involving an interesting investment opportunity up to $100 billion. When it comes to global desalination, again, projected to increase from $17.7 billion in 2020 to $32.1 billion by 2027. Many initiatives, many fruitful outcomes, were achieved at those important events, such as COP28, which was hosted, by the United Arab Emirates. And in that, there was an important announcement that the UAE has pledged $150 million in new funding for water security solutions, in fragile, vulnerable communities. That announcement, as I said, was made at COP28. So there is a lot of these, initiatives and efforts, towards combating water scarcity issues. A very good example, another example, the Mohammed bin Zayed, Water Initiative, which was launched in March. So it was launched this month, 2 weeks ago, 2024. They announced an investment of $150 million for innovative solutions to tackle global water shortages, with 119 million in prizes up for grabs. And for that, the American Foundation X Prize, they collaborated with this initiative, and they created the X Prize, competition with $119 million, in terms of awards for those who can come up, with innovative solutions in the next 5 years. More information, can be found on their website. And at Khalifa University, we're working, very closely with X Prize on these initiatives. So as you can see, the UAE has been putting and doing a lot of these efforts, and this is where Khalifa University decided, to establish the Center for Membranes and Advanced Water Technology, or aiming at creating strong network with national as well as international scholars and industries operating in water-related purification systems, such as desalination, wastewater treatment, environmental remediations, membranes, and so on and so forth, hopefully to foster, innovation, lead to commercialization, of these new technologies in the UAE. At CMAT, in short, we focus on 5 different thematic areas, including process development for desalination and water treatment, novel membrane development, novel materials and nanomaterials for water and wastewater applications. And we could see the emergence of 2D materials such as, graphene, mixine, and so on and so forth. and their potential, to be used to enhance the performance of these membranes, whether for water or wastewater, related applications. The other two themes that we have is basically computational fluid dynamics, because we do have people still working, on thermal desalination, environmental modeling, and so on and so forth. And finally, we have the water microbiology theme, an interesting theme that was created or inspired, I would say, during the pandemic. And one good project, we did, we recently closed, was basically the detection of SARS-CoV-2 in wastewater. And we're very proud to say we were among the first 5 countries, tackled back then, the presence of SARS-CoV-2 in wastewater. Since the establishment back in 2018, we have, as a research institute, as a research center, published more than 300 papers, of which 90% are in Q1 journals. We have more than 10 patent applications. We extracted more than $3 million in terms of funding. We've been involved in several conferences, events, seminars. We also do these monthly seminars, for CMAT, where we bring, top scholars, scientists, people from industry as well, to talk, to our people about the advancements, about the new technologies, about the new research, in the field of desalination and water treatment as well. We have more than 100 people using our facility at Khalifa University. Here you can see the leadership team of the center, and I'm very sure that you recognize many of the names. And at CMAT, we basically believe in interdisciplinary, multidisciplinary approach. So we have people from different departments: chemical engineering, mechanical engineering, chemistry, biology, coming, working hand in hand, towards developing advanced solutions. On the right side, we do have established, collaboration with different academic institutions and industries, but the list, can go on and on, and we want to expand. And this is, perhaps a good opportunity to express our interest in collaborating, with several industries, with several research institutions, and universities as well, to advancing water solutions in general. These are just to give you examples of the projects that we currently have at CMAT. I can't go in details, but we have brine management. This is a very topic covered, by my colleagues, by Peter, at the very first presentation. So we have people working on lithium recovery from desalination brine using 3D printed adsorption modules. We have people working to extract water, from atmosphere. Some advanced mixed matrix membranes, electrified membranes, responsive membranes, bio-inspired membranes. Some others, working on these green solvents, such as gases, ionic liquids. And as I said, we've got people working on the environmental modeling and on the water microbiology as well. So this is just an overview I wanted to share with you to give you the bigger picture of the situation in the UAE. But of course, that will not, let's say, stop us from continuing our efforts, especially, when it comes to decarbonization or decarbonizing, the energy sector or the water sector. We do have the 2050, what we call 2050 net zero initiatives in UAE. And this is something that UAE is working on to expand the RO desalination plants, because we believe that RO can enhance the efficiency of the process by more than 95%, or and reduce the carbon footprint, by 85%. So that we are expanding, we are building, a few more of these desalination plants in the UAE. With this, I come to an end. I hope it was an enjoyable, a very short presentation, but an informative one, giving you a clear picture of the situation in the UAE. Once again, thank you for listening, and I'm happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Yes, Shadi, thank you very much for your presentation. It is impressive to see how much capacity is in your country and what is going on. But time is running and we are behind schedule. please, we come to a short round to the questions and answers. I have registered 5 questions or 6 at the end. And I would like, and I think all speakers see the questions. Peter, you were the first speaker, and also the first questions are at your side. Perhaps you can give a short summary about the questions and your answer. Oh, you are mute. Yeah.
Yeah, I try to do that at the same time, but as soon as I go to the questions, there were different questions targeting the presentation. The one on porous ceramic membranes, I cannot answer at this moment. If that's indeed a question that raises interest, I will need to ask a colleague of mine more specific details about that. There was another question regarding optimizing the water use using alternative farming methods, and of course, optimizing water use also makes a lot of sense. I did answer a couple of questions already in the chat, so I don't know if any of the questions remain opened. Maybe there's one element that indeed there was a question related to the reduced surface area that agricultural land can use if you want to optimize the natural water cycle, and that of course is a political decision, but hopefully one that one day will be installed. By the way, this enhanced natural rain water can also be done in dry areas. There's a big project currently being planned in the Sinai Desert in Egypt, and perhaps it can even make sense in the Saudi and wider Arab Peninsula. So maybe that can be of interest from our Professor Shadi to dive into that, if that is something of interest to enhance their natural water production. Thank you.
So, thank you very much again. And I come to Vincenzo. There was also a question to you, Vincenzo.
Yeah.
Could you pick it up, please?
Yeah, the question is very interesting because a lot of time people ask me, what is the best solution for water treatment, in this case desalination, for be more cheaper? Of course, probably we need to integrate the solution that we have. Some of these will be presented. There is a specific technology for all. But the point is, we underline the link from water and energy. And sometimes to select the best solution for sustainability don't mean that is the more cheaper solution for water production. This is more important to take in mind, because we need to consider the how we produce energy. How the amount of water that we use for produce this kind of energy is one step. The second step is how to reduce the energy needs in the treatment. In case of the desalination, there are a lot of solutions that will be implemented. New material for membrane is one way. Pre-treatment, in case we need, is another solution. Use technology for different kind of pressure working in is another way of solution, but need from the feed of the quality of water and the result of water that we want to meet. But is important also to thinking that we need to invest also for reduce the greenhouse gas emission, as also Shadi recently mentioned. All this process must be integrated and take a solution for sustainability that not means to be more cheaper. Of course, economic point of view is also important and relevant for sustainability, but is not the only point of view.
Okay, thank you. We go further to Jorge. There were also, I think, 2 questions to you.
Yes.
You see, perhaps you can read the question and answer them, because the participants can't see the questions.
Okay, the question is, if there is any reason for in particular for two stages or multimedia filtration in pretreatment. Yes, these big seawater desalination plants, the only way to design the intake is with open intakes. So that means that the long-term performance of the plant depends of the water quality to arrive to the membrane. So we have to design the pretreatment as robust as possible. So in this case, we have, as I said, the filtration, the flotation filtration unit, just as security in just in case we have algae bloom or episodes of high TDS contents in the seawater. And the second stage filtration is to assure that the water which arrives to the arrow racks is free of solid contents. Okay. And the second.
There was one question. You mentioned total cost of water for RO plants coming into around 0.68 euro per cubic meter. At what price is the water then sold per cubic meter in Spain? So what is your producing price and what is your selling price?
Yeah, this is a difficult question because the price in Spain at the end is subsidized. So depending on the government policies. Yep.
So it's more a political question, not a technical question.
Yeah, and the water from the desalination plant is not the only source. So they mix with other waters.
Okay. Yeah.
Thank you,
Jorge.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's clear. It is not one-to-one. That is a mixture of aspects you have to take into account when you make the price for the consumers. But there was a hand from Klaus, and Klaus, I would like to add one question to you. Looking for the demand that we have to recycle all the membranes, could you imagine that going to IFAT is a good way to find partners to do this job?
At the moment, I think you will find them on the incineration, but not on specific ways how to do it. Okay. So the industry is not ready yet to really apply. Neither the manufacturers of membranes are really looking into this, nor the operators of RO plants. It is not really valued at the moment. They're all looking for ways around this.
But when landfill come more and more with membranes, then they have to pick up the topic.
It will come, yes, because just the mountain will get bigger and bigger of all the membranes we have. We are producing them permanently. No way around. It's not as big as the salt mountain we saw in one of the pictures in the presentations before in northern Germany, but it is big. It is a big thing.
But it is growing. That is the problem, I think.
Yeah. And there's not really an intention at the moment, or will or a wish to spend money for this. That needs to be realized by the industry. I have one thing, maybe for Vincenzo, for you, you're talking about the energy and water nexus. I would like to draw down your attention to your two kidneys you have, as these are desalination plants, and you always take them and carry them around, your personal desal plants inside. They are using approximately 300 watts per cubic meter. So this is, from my point of view, the challenging target we need to look into. I totally agree on the other presentations we had. RO is at a saturation point in terms of what we can see in patent files and all these new things. Everybody thinks, okay, we have 2 or 3% more. No, we need a leapfrog jump now, and we need other technologies than this, which of course then will maybe also be contradictive to the existing RO installations. but we need to have just a bigger jump now to look into these. And yeah, looking into our kidneys, we have them, and a lot of creatures in nearly any does use these type of technology, biological technology. This is where we need to look into, and that is our challenging point. So don't think about 2 or 3% more. And Jorge, you said the Spanish plant is at 4 something kilowatt. Very often we can hear companies saying, okay, we need less than 3 kilowatt hours per cube, but they don't really, that does not consist of all the energy being used in the plants. So they only take the hydraulic core. They are trying to separate this. So let's take the challenge of our kidney, 300 watts per cubic meter. And now let's start to talk about new technologies where we need to go. And our kidney has two things, desalination and concentration. So we do have a ZLD technology inside our kidneys as well. So maybe looking into what we got from our creator.
Klaus, thank you for your comments. Thanks. And last question to Shadi. Shadi, that was in the Q&A for another speaker, but I would like to ask you, if you a large amount of water you have available through desalination, will the demand for water increase perhaps more than you can produce with a desalination plant?
Well, thank you very much for this. This is, again, it's a tricky question because, the demand, I think the UAE is meeting the demand, but of course they need more. And why is that? Because of the huge population increase that we have been facing or seeing, and also the rapid industrial developments, that the country is overseeing, over the past few years. So on the long run, yes, we do have, we do want a lot of water. So the water demand will keep increasing, in the next upcoming years. And this is why, I showed the capacity and then the peak, of the water, that is produced by the desalination plants in the UAE, and the new projects, that are either in the commissioning phase or they were commissioned on the development. So currently, for example, I talked about the Al Tawila plant, which is the largest in the world. And I talked about the new one that was inaugurated 2 weeks ago, which is called Naqa. And in the process now, they have commissioned the development of 4 other desalination plants to keep meeting, the demand for the country itself.
So thank you. And at the end, the time is running and we are over time, but thank you very much to all the speakers. Thank you for your questions. Thank you for listening, from the participation. And I would like to give the floor back to Caroline. And Caroline, thank you to you for organizing this webinar. Very well prepared. And please make the last round and close the seminar.
Yes, well, thank you, Johannes. I think you're seeing my screen, but not in the correct order. I will not take too long because I know everyone has busy schedule, but yes, thank you again for everyone for being here today, to all the participants and the speakers, to Vincenzo for your help organizing the webinar today. I will send the presentation right after this webinar, and we will make the recording available on YouTube. Just wanted to let you know that we have 2 upcoming webinars. The next one will be on April 18th about water reuse, the challenges and opportunities in Europe. And then the next one on the 25th about the qualification and recruitment in the water sector. So 2 very interesting topics too. So don't hesitate to register. You can also come visit us at IFAT. I will add the overview of our activities at IFAT in the email I will send, as we don't have time now to go over it, but we will talk about many subjects as well as desalination. So come see us at our booth at the entrance of Hall West, or at the blue stage at our event. We'll be there. So use the EVA code and come see us. You can follow us and have all the information on our social media platforms. You can check everything also on our website, and you can sign up for the newsletter, and then you receive all the information from us live. you know, we always appreciate your feedback. So please let us know when you close the webinar. Give us a quick feedback on what you thought about today, what you're interested to hear in the future, and we'll be happy to accommodate yeah, in the best possible way. Well, thanks again for everyone. I wish you a great lunch probably now and a great afternoon, Shadi, for you. And yeah,
you.
we'll see you then soon.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Bye
Bye-bye.
bye.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.